Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Caleb, and in this video we're going to talk about everything you need to know to get started with Chia, the cryptocurrency network. We're going to start with some of the hardware, then we're going to get into the software and how to actually get it running, as well as talking about pooling. So to start, the biggest piece of hardware that is related to Chia is the hard drive. Now, this is where you're going to store plots. Now, you don't have to be as extreme as me, where I have a bunch of hard drives. You can just use one hard drive or any extra storage you have on your laptop or computer. So these are filled with plots, but where do these plots actually come from? They're going to come from the processor writing to ideally a solid state drive. So I'm going to show you some other hardware over here, and that'll help you get a better idea of what kind of computer setup you might want. So here is some other hardware that you're going to want to know about. So we already talked about the hard drive. That's the end destination. Now, for actually creating these plots, most likely you're going to use a solid state drive such as this one. This is an M.2 form factor, and that's just going to slide into your motherboard right in this M.2 slot. Screw that in. It's by far the hardest part of this entire process. Now, you may choose to have another solid state drive. I'll often use one of these to put my operating system on and then do all of the writing from this guy. However, you can do everything from this. The biggest thing you have to be concerned of is that Chia is going to use a lot of writing, so there's a chance you could fry your solid state drive and lose your operating system. But if you have a fresh install, you can just reinstall it and you're good to go. Just make sure to back up your seed phrase. Now, when you have a solid state drive, there's going to be two different connectors. One of those connectors is going to come from your power supply cable, and then another one is going to be a connector to your motherboard. So it's going to look something like this. Get that one pushed in, and then this one as well. The other end of the hard drive plug will go into the power supply here. And then somewhere on your motherboard, you'll have a place to plug in your SATA hard drives right here. It's going to be the same process for a hard drive. It's going to have the same connectors. For an M.2 drive, such as this one, you're not going to have to do anything with cables. You just put it right on the motherboard and you should be good to go. Now, as for the capacity for each one of these devices, ideally the destination drive has as much storage as possible. That'll allow you to have more plots. Once you create those plots, you can farm from them forever. Now, for the operating system drive, you really do not need a whole lot. I do this with a lot of drives that are 120 gigabytes. And I'll typically get a SATA drive for the operating system. Now, as for the M.2, I just look for a really high TBW, so that will tell you how many times you can write to this solid state drive. A higher TBW is basically a longer life expectancy for that solid state drive. And since you're going to be doing a lot of writes, that's pretty important. Now, again, as a reminder, it is possible to basically combine the operating system and the writing drive into one thing. And if that's the case, it's ideally going to be on the M.2 because it's going to be faster writing. And then you'll just need to make sure that you can reinstall your operating system if by chance this drive fails. And that's exactly what the setup is going to be like for my Windows PC. I'm just going to have one solid state drive. I'm going to write to that, and that's also going to have my Windows operating system on it. So here I have a pre-built Windows computer that I purchased, and I just have one solid state drive here that's going to have the operating system, and I'm going to do all of my writes for the plotting. Now, initially I didn't see anywhere to put a hard drive. I was just going to cram one in here, but there's actually two slots right here. So what I can do is I can just slide this bad boy right in here. I'm not entirely sure how this works. I just broke it. My bad. There we go. Now, I have the M.2 here. If you want to use that just for reading and writing and not have your operating system drive on there, what you can do is you could just use this other slot and put a SATA SSD there. So just throw that in there. And then you can use this solid state drive for Windows, all your files and important stuff. And then you can use this for all of your reading and writing and just replace it if you need. You will just need to learn how to get Windows on a solid state drive. not too hard, and I'm going to show you how to get your Windows product key as well. I'm actually not going to do that though, so I'm going to unplug this. That's all I have to say about the computer hardware. Now let's move on to the computer software. But first, I wanted to say a quick thank you to our sponsor of this video, BlockFi. So for those of you who don't know, this is BlockFi, and they allow you to get up to 7.5 APY on your crypto. So not only do you get the potential increase in value of the cryptocurrency, but you get an additional interest on top of that. So your cryptocurrency balance actually goes up. On top of that, you can borrow cash using your crypto as collateral, and you can buy and sell crypto. So you can go to blockfi.com/Caleb, and this is where you can get a special bonus. So when you transfer $100 or more, you get a Bitcoin bonus. So here are the different tiers. So let's say you deposit $100, well, you're going to get a $15 bonus, all the way up to $250 if you deposit $100,000 or more. To get this promotion, you will need to deposit USD stablecoins and maintain that balance for a period of time. So definitely go ahead and get started. Try out BlockFi and let me know what you guys think. I'll drop a comment in the comment section below for a link to get started, and would really appreciate you checking it out to support this channel. Now to get started with Chia, what we're going to do is we're going to download the Chia blockchain, and we're going to be on Windows. This is a pretty simple process, no command line or anything crazy. We just have an installer and we run it and we're good to go. I'm going to allow access for this for my firewall. And we're going to start completely from scratch here. So we're going to create a new private key, and make sure you don't share this with anyone, especially not out on YouTube. Go ahead and write those down and hit next. And we'll go ahead and wait for this to sync. So come back in about 17 days. When this opens up for the first time, you're going to start getting connections, and give it some time for it to start syncing. I've never had any really bad problems getting synced. It's been a pretty good overall experience, but if you have issues, there are a lot of guides out there on how to get synced. So you might need to look into port forwarding or adding specific connections. We're not going to get into all those details in this video because this is just going to be bare bones, but just so you know, if you run into that issue, there are solutions out there. So as this is getting close to finishing, what I want to do now is focus a little bit on connecting all of the hardware and getting that set up. So I have my destination drive, my hard drive, plugged in. I used an internal drive, but you can also use a USB drive. And what we want to do now is go to disk management. So you can search down here, disk management. Create and format hard disk partitions. And something like this will come up. Now I'm just going to X out of this, and we're going to take a look at this screen here. When I did this the first time, nothing popped up, and I was like, oh geez, what's broken? But all I had to do was go to action and then rescan disks. So you could try that, or you can try refreshing. And eventually I was able to get this to pop up and everything was good. So I just hit rescan disk and eventually it worked. Now, if you're not so lucky, well then you might just want to check the connection, make sure the hard drive is spinning, and then if it's spinning, it's powered up, so then you just have to make sure the connection to the computer is set up. So we want to format this, so what we want to do is right click on disk 1, initialize disk. I'm going to go with GPT, but just take note of what it says here about previous versions of Windows, and hit OK. Now we will right click, new simple volume, next. We'll go for the maximum disk space, hit next. For file system, we will go with NTFS, and then for the volume label, we will give it some really interesting name. Final destination, there we go. Let's hit next, finish. And then it will finish formatting. And now that you're done with that, you should probably know that it's going to erase anything important on that hard drive. So make sure you're aware of that before you format the hard drive. At this point, we should be able to open a folder, go to this PC, and we'll see that drive in this PC. So you should be able to open this and do all the folder stuff here. What you'll want to do is open the command prompt. To do this, you can type in CMD and select command prompt. Then the command you're going to want to use is right here. So WMIC path software licensing service get OA $X original product key, which I just had this memorized. It's really not that hard. Hit enter and that'll give you your Windows product key, which you can always just keep to be safe. Most likely you're not going to fry your solid state drive. I think people worry about that a little bit too much. I've not ran into that issue at all. And that's only a concern if you're going to be plotting a ton. But just to be safe, you can get your product key and make sure you have everything written down. At this point, we can check back on Chia, see how the syncing is going, and you can see we're almost there. So we're gonna wait for this to fully sync, and then we'll learn about adding plots to our farm. All right, so we're fully synced. What is our goal now? Well, we want to get some plots and start earning Chia through a pool. So we'll go through the pooling tab, join a pool, add Chia from the faucet. And it's gonna open up the Chia faucet, and this is going to give you a little bit of Chia, and we're gonna have to go through and click some parking meters and stuff. Hit verify, and you're gonna paste your wallet address here. Where do you get that? Well, from Chia, if you go to wallets, you can go through here, grab your receive address, and then go paste that in the browser. So we'll paste that there, hit submit, already sent. If you run into the situation where it says already sent, well, I don't think it's working. What you'll want to do is you'll want to do this again, probably on another network. So what I did was just copy the address, send it to my mobile phone, and went through the process on mobile. And this is what it's supposed to say. It's kind of small there, but it says accepted. Your request is in the queue and will be processed in the order it was received. And for me, within a few moments, that value of Chia was added to my account. A very, very small amount of Chia, I think 100 mojo. This should give you enough mojo to join a pool. However, there's one more gotcha. Just because the full node is synced, our wallet actually has to sync as well. So on here it says I have 0 Chia, even though I can confirm online that I have a little bit of Chia. So what we need to do is wait for that wallet to sync, see that we have a little bit of Chia, and then we are ready to join that pool. All right, it's the year 2077 and we finally see that Chia show up in our wallet. So what we can do now is we can go to pool, join a pool, connect to a pool, and if you want to join Space Pool, it's https://na1.pool.space. And that's for North America, but there's also EU1 and Asia 1. Just choose whichever one would be closest to you. So I will go with NA1 and hit create. Now creating a plot NFT is a transaction on the blockchain, so you will need to wait for that transaction to be confirmed, which, similar to getting the mojo, is going to require a synced wallet. So we'll come back in a little bit. Mine's just frozen here, so I'm actually going to reset the Chia client. All right, so I just reset the client, and we'll see if our wallet sync starts progressing. If you're wondering how far it needs to go, well, this needs to catch up with the main sync, so you can go to the full node, see your peak height, 594,196. So we will need to get our wallet up to that height, and it's progressing. When that transaction completes, it's going to look something like this. And you're going to have two important things here. The first being the launcher ID, which you're going to use to look up your farm on the Space Pool website. And then you're also going to have this pool contract address, which is also known as the puzzle hash, which we're going to use later. Now, the next goal is to increase this number of plots so it doesn't just say 0 here. So you can do this the old school way from this plots tab. And right now, there's pretty much only one way of doing this. And basically what you'll do is you'll choose the number of plots. You can configure the advanced options. Select a temporary directory to do the writing. This would be your SSD. You can just choose a folder. Select the final directory to store the plots, and then you would choose the whatever name shows up here for your plot NFT. So select that, and then you could start creating your plots. Now, my preferred way of plotting is to use the Mad Max plotter, which this may be integrated into the plotting tab on the Chia software eventually, but right now that is not the case. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to go to a web browser and find Mad Max Chia plotter. And you can go down here and in the installation, choose whatever operating system you're on. I'm on Windows. And you can find that release here. So this is what we're going to be using to do our plotting. So we'll download the zip file here. So we're going to extract this to some location. I'm going to put this in my user directory in a Mad Max directory. Hit extract. And now it looks like this. We have Caleb, Mad Max, Chia _plot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the terminal. And now we're going to change to our user directory, which I believe you can do with %homepath%. So CD %homepath%. That's going to take you to your user folder. You could also just travel there from C, however, that's a little bit easier. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change directory into Mad Max. And now we are in this directory, and we should be able to see all of the files. And you can see right here we have chiaplot.exe. Now to use the plotter, we should be able to say chia_plot, and then we'll just need to pass in some extra information. If you hit enter as is, it'll give you a list of everything you might need. Now you don't need everything here, so don't worry too much. What we're going to focus on first is we're going to focus on the count. You can use -1 to create unlimited plots, which will just fill the destination drive. The number of threads, that's based on your processor. The default here is 4. I'm on an 8-core 16-thread processor, so I'll use 16. Now, Mad Max is split up into 2 temporary directories. If you want to split things out, I'm going to use the same temporary location for both of these. The final directory, which is where you're going to store your plots, that's going to be the hard drive. Then you're going to want your contract, the pool contract address, and the farmer key, which I'll show you how to get. So to get that, you'll go to Chia, go to keys, hit this little I, which you're not going to want to share this out because this will have your seed and private key, but this is where you can get your farmer public key. So let's go ahead and try to build a command and see if we can get it working. So this might take a couple of attempts, but I think we can do it. So we'll say chiaplot -n is going to be -1, -r is going to be 16, -t, or the temp directory. We can just create a folder, or if you have a dedicated solid state drive, you can just use that root folder. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new folder and just call this temp. Now what we should be able to do is for the temp location, just say temp, and then the same thing for the secondary temp location, we will say temp. If you happen to have, 126 gigabytes of RAM laying around, you can look into creating a RAM disk for the second temporary location. I did a video on that. And then the destination, that's going to be our hard drive. We will just say d:/. Now -c, the contract address. So go to Chia, go to pool, copy this contract address, paste that here, -f for the farmer key, go back to keys, right here, Control C. Oh, I forgot to put a space. There we go. And that should be it. Let's hit enter, see if it works. Temp needs a trailing /. So we'll go up to redo that command, and then what we can do is we can just go back to our directories and just add //. Alright, I hit enter, and now it's doing something. I hear my hard drive starting up, and it began the plotting, so we should be able to go into Mad Max. So we'll go into C, users, Caleb, Mad Max, temp. Here's going to create the temp files, and then the final plots are going to show up in the final destination. Now from the Chia software, what you'll want to do is you'll want to go into farm, add plot directory, and select that final destination right there. Now when your plot is done, it should show up here, as well as in the pool you should see number of plots 1. Give that some time, and eventually you'll be able to take this launcher ID, head over to pool.space, and paste that launcher ID here to see the stats for that farm. So I'm going to let this cook for a while, and we'll come back and see how it does. At the end, it'll give you a time so you can benchmark and try to improve your plotting speed. So after a while, you can come back and look at these logs and figure out how long it took to create a plot. Total plot creation time was 3,719.97 seconds, or almost 62 minutes, which isn't too great. Now, it's not terrible, but I've gotten this down to like 31 minutes on another machine. There's a lot of different optimizations you can do, and you can look into that. So I would probably cancel out of any other stuff running and run this again. Then I would take a look at my solid state drive, see if it's a pretty good one, or look into getting 128 gigabytes of RAM for a RAM disk, but that's going to be pretty expensive. The machine that was closer to 30 minutes had the 128 gigabytes of RAM, and it was just cranking through plots like nothing. So at this point, we should be able to go into the Chia software, and you'll see number of plots is still 0. We'll go into the plots, refresh plots, and there you go. We actually have 2 of them, so 2 of them finished. Let's check the time for that second one. If we scroll up, it looks like that first one was created in 55 minutes. So now let's go back to the Chia software, go to pool, number of plots 2. You can now take this launcher ID and check against the website, do a quick refresh. Within 15 minutes of getting that first partial, you should get an estimated plot size. So right now you can see we're at an estimated 0.097 TIB. This will continue to go up as you continue to plot. And again, this is an estimate. Estimates vary around plus to minus 20% on average, with even larger occasional spikes and dips. Now, just for a little bit more of an explanation, what exactly are partials? This is basically a miniature proof showing that you actually have the space. We're not able to see exactly how many plots you have, so this number is interpreted based off of your partial submission and their difficulty. So in the Chia client, you can see there's a difficulty as well as number of plots. The difficulty will go up when you have a lot of plots, and that'll give you basically stronger partials that will increase your farm size more significantly. So that way really large farms aren't sending tons and tons of partials. Now for a bonus tip, if you want to change your farm name, you can click these dots and then view pool login link. What we can do is copy this and paste this in a browser. And this is a way that you can change your alias as well as set up Discord notifications. So account alias, I don't know. And I'll leave the Discord options and notifications as a research project for you. So we'll go ahead and hit save, and this will update the alias for that account. So now you can refer to this page. Instead of account followed by some random string of characters, we can just type in pizza. There we go. In Discord, you can say account pizza, and that'll paste the link for that account, which you can open, and there you go. Oh, hey, there, our plot size just increased. So that pretty much sums up how to get started with Chia, pooling, plotting, everything you need to know to start building your Chia farm. I'd like you to drop a comment in the comment section below what your plans are for your Chia farm, and if you have any good suggestions for future content. If you have any issues at all, check out the Discord, lots of people there willing to help, and stay tuned for upcoming content. Peace out.